faster.
I mean, it seems like the first word that anybody got that this was not real, that this was a false alarm, was a tweet by Tulsi Gabbard. How is that an acceptable way to go about things?
No, it's not. I mean, our first word was because a cousin of ours is in the Air Force, and we got word from him and my sister-in-law, who's a cyber expert, that it was a false alarm, and then we pushed that message out through social media too. But you're right, 38 minutes is when the State Department of Emergency Management really got things out, and it's not okay. But I'd like to talk a little bit about what the president said, saying he wanted to offer his support. You know, we're in this situation in part because of his inflammatory rhetoric. He had Scaramucci just on talking about style and content. His style is married to his content. His style is one of disdain for our enemies and our allies alike, and the content is offensive. If he knew even the most remotely basic thing about diplomacy, you know, people wouldn't be so frightened to begin with and planning for these kind of eventualities. But because of the style of leadership that we have to plan for these things. And we lack the resources to have, obviously, the proper experts in charge to put these sort of systems in place. And now we end up in this kind of situation. You know, I'm not saying that this false alarm is his fault, but the fact is, his rhetoric of fire and fury has put the entire nation, if not the world, in a tizzy. And now we're in this kind of situation where the least bit of false alarm makes people hide in their bathtubs with their kids and say their prayers.
Do you think anybody is telling the president that maybe he needs to dial it back and you're scaring Americans? Is anyone in his administration able to do that?
Obviously not. I mean, I think there's a special place in hell for people like Scaramucci who go on TV and make their life's work to apologize for this man rather than speak to him directly and say, you need to think more clearly and have a more rational approach to the world that we live in, because you're putting people like my life and my children's life in danger.
So you don't appreciate these New York-style flourishes, as Scaramucci would call them?
I don't think anybody in New York even appreciates it.
Hawaii State Representative Matthew Lopresti, thank you very much for being here. I'm glad everything turned out okay.
Thanks.
A growing number of Democratic lawmakers are planning to skip President Trump's State of the Union address this month. Will Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee be one of them? We're going to ask her next. Plus, Paul Ryan's Democratic challenger just raised an eye-popping amount of campaign cash. We'll talk